NFL. We got some breaking news. After 12 years in Tampa Bay, wide receiver Mike Evans is expected to sign a 3-year contract with the Niners, sources told ESPN's Adam Schefter. Evans' streak of 11 straight 1,000-yard seasons came to an end last year when he suffered a broken collarbone in Week 7. Mike Evans is leaving Tampa Bay as the greatest receiver in the franchise's history. He's a franchise leader in receiving yards, receptions, and receiving touchdowns over his 12-year tenure as a Buccaneer. All right, our guys here with us, Jeremy Fowler, Joe Fortenbaugh here with us right now. Big news in the NFL with that Mike Evans trade. Jeremy, I'll come to you first. Your reaction to that?
Yeah, this just went down. So Mike Evans was serious that he could leave Tampa Bay. A lot of people didn't believe him. A lot of people around the league thought that he would be back with the Bucs, but he wanted a few things. He wanted a brilliant play caller. He wanted an elite quarterback. He wanted the chance to win a Super Bowl, and he wanted a lot of targets. He will get all 4 in San Francisco, which was sneaky in the receiver market. They looked at Alec Pierce and Romeo Doubs and some of these top options. They landed on Mike Evans, which can change their offense. He can still really play at a high level in his 30s.
Super Bowl odds go from 20-1 to 18-1. Odds to win the NFC from 10-1 down to 9-1. I'd be looking to go the other way on that. It's a nice add at wide receiver. Was that really their problem? The Niners had a lot of problems on the defensive side of the ball. Offensive line could use some help. You got a tough division, tough schedule. And Evans, like you just said, coming off a year where he's battling some injuries, not exactly in his prime. So good player, was going to help the wide receiver unit, but I think it's probably an overpay here.
Okay.
That's some breaking news. It'll be a change of scenery for longtime Buck Mike Evans. Signing with the 49ers to a 3-year deal. Evans' career low in receiving yards in games last season because he was injured, missed 9 games due to multiple injuries, and had snapped a streak of 11 straight seasons with 1,000 receiving yards. That was tied with Jerry Rice for the longest streak in NFL history. Here's Mike Evans via his agent. The Buccaneers made it clear they would have loved for Mike to finish his career in Tampa, potentially become just the 4th player in franchise history to spend his entire career as a Buccaneer and ultimately walk into Canton representing the organization. Mike Evans' decision to leave Tampa was never about money. The Buccaneers were extremely aggressive in their pursuit and presented a very strong offer, demonstrating how much they value him and everything he has meant to the franchise. In the end, this decision just simply came down to Mike wanting a new challenge and a fresh opportunity while he still feels he has a great deal left to give the game. Let's break it down with Pete Prisco and Logan Ryan, as well as our lead NFL insider, Jonathan Jones. JJ, what more can you tell us into the decision here for Mike Evans to go to the West Coast?
Yeah, we reported on Sunday night that Mike Evans' time as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer was complete. There was a very, very small off chance that he got a deal, he took it back to Tampa Bay, they could match, he could stay. But it had been shaping up as though Mike Evans would be out of Tampa Bay after 12 seasons. So that's where we are right now. He goes to the San Francisco 49ers. I understand there's a report that it is a 3-year deal. It would be stunning to me if this is a true 3-year deal. I think what you're talking about is really closer to a 2-year deal. We're waiting on the money. Mike Evans was hopeful that he was going to get somewhere around $25 million per year. Sources that I'd spoken to around the league thought it would be a little closer to 20. So there'll probably be some fluff involved. Again, that 3rd year, that's a huge, huge question mark. So for all intents and purposes, that's what we are talking about as he attempts to win one more Super Bowl ring. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers obviously were operating on Monday as though they would not have Mike Evans anymore. That's why they go out and sign Kenneth Gainwell to a 2-year contract and beat out other teams for his services. That's why they were able to probably up the offer for Cade Otton, their tight end, and were able to retain him. And so there was a little pivot there for Tampa Bay once they realized it was going to be near impossible to keep Mike Evans. Again, he'll forever be a Buccaneer. Again, this is not about money necessarily. I think Tampa would have been willing to go wherever San Francisco wound up at. This is about Mike Evans, according to his agent, and this is true, looking for just another fresh start and finally hitting free agency for the first time in his career. So now he heads to San Francisco in search of his 2nd Super Bowl title.
All right, JJ, certainly appreciate it. Logan, I'm going to give you first word. What are your thoughts here about the statement from the agent and what JJ's offered here?
Well, I'll start with this. As someone who's been teammates with Mike Evans, competed against Mike Evans, and also been a part of the San Francisco 49ers, I have some insight on all of it, I would say. I think it's a beautiful, great fit for Mike and the 49ers. In terms of that statement, That was very confusing. I don't see many statements like that. Mike doesn't owe the Tampa Bay Buccaneers anything more than what he's done in terms of a Hall of Fame career through 11 seasons, right? Tons of work in community. He does so. I live in Tampa Bay. What this man does in the community and what he's done for as long as he has been unprecedented. He'll be retired and be in the Bucs Hall of Fame. Going forward, I think it's a beautiful fit for the 49ers. Whatever you say Mike's value is, I know I look at Devontae Adams, and Kyle Shanahan knows if you think Mike's old and washed up, play him one-on-one if you want. If you think Devontae Adams is old and washed up, play him one-on-one if you want. He'll lead the league in touchdowns. Mike is a plug-and-play guy that can lead the league in touchdowns next year in the red zone alone in that San Francisco offense. I know he's still got enough gas to win one-on-one. He's faced double teams his entire career there in Tampa Bay. Now you put him in that offense with Kyle Shanahan, it's going to get scary. I think Mike has a lot of good ball left in him.
And particularly scary once Kittle gets back. Remember, he's coming off the injury. Once he gets back with McCaffrey. And this kind of tells you that maybe they're leading to bring back Trent Williams, too. You're not going to get rid of Trent Williams and bring an older receiver in. So it kind of pieces it all together. I'm kind of sad that he's leaving Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
I like seeing guys finish. Somebody like that. It's a legacy player for a franchise. It just makes you a little sad that he's going. Now, having listened to what his agent said, I don't believe any of it. I don't believe that. You really think that if the Bucs had offered the same amount of money that he would have left to go to San Francisco?
I felt the same way. So why would his agent say that? That's a confusing thing about to me. That why even say that if that's not the case? I know Mike and
making his Bucs look pretty good.
I know Mike and Levante David personally. I know they both love being Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Right.
So surprised that Mike didn't stay, but I thought it was because the Bucs didn't want to give him anywhere near. It was a confusing statement on that end. But regardless, the sides are moving on. I think it's going to be a good move for Mike if he had to move or if he chose to move. And obviously Tampa has a lot of young wide receivers in Ibuka and stuff that they drafted over the last few years to prepare for this day.
Yeah, it's sad to see him leave, and he was such a big part of their offense. I remember, Baker Mayfield told me last May, I said, well, what are you going to do with the new offense? He goes, it's a running game of Mike Evans. We go Mike Evans and then the running game. That's what we do. Well, he's not there anymore, so it's time for somebody else to step up.
Just to talk about schematically the Kyle Shanahan offense, Brandon Ayuk saga, injuries to Juwan Jennings, Kendrick Bourne filled in nicely, Ricky Pearsall. Right, but now we have Mike Evans here. What more help do they would need? You mentioned Kittle, and we know McCaffrey and all that, but just from a receiving core standpoint, Pete, what stands out to you or lack thereof there?
Well, Pearsall has to stay on the field. I think when he stays on the field, he's actually a pretty good receiver, but you need another one. And so I think you draft one. You got to draft some speed. Look, Mike Evans, for everything you say about him, and he's a great player, he doesn't run like he used to anymore. So they need some speed somewhere to help open up that offense. But you're right, Kyle Shanahan will find a way to scheme it open and get him in one-on-one situations. And you're probably right. He's probably going to catch double-digit touchdown passes this year.
Look, it's a unique look. He can talk about this record here. Obviously, it's not going to be consecutive anymore, but he gets to play where Jerry Rice played. Mike is a unique wide receiver, probably one of one in the league at legit 6'6" with ball skills. So he runs really well in his career at this age, but with that size, he's running much better than 6'6" guys. That's why he's had 11 consecutive years. They need to get healthy. That's always been the 49ers thing. When Mike's healthy, he's going for 1,000 yards. He's proved that 11 out of 12 years. They all need to get healthy. But you put Mike in that offense, I know it firsthand, it is going to get really, really ugly for other teams if they can't figure out how to double Mike and then double Christian, and what about George? It makes all the other jobs, it makes Christian McCaffrey's job a lot easier. And similar to what the Rams did, this is a direct correlation of the Rams getting Devontae Adams and what that took that Rams offense last year with Puka Nacua, and it got Matt Stafford an MVP. This is a similar move, in my opinion, with Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers.
The star's got to stay on the field. This is a star-laden team. It's a star-heavy team. You talk about last year, Nick Bosa didn't play much of the season. Fred Warner out for a lot of the season. Trent Williams was in and out of the lineup for a lot of the season. The Kittles went in and out, and he went down at the end of the season. And McCaffrey Ayuk didn't play, and McCaffrey's the only one who played. So their stars stay on the field. They're going to compete with anybody. And you can, by the way, some people will put Brock Purdy into that category. I don't know if he's quite there yet, but he's close to that. So if they stay on the field, but you think about that division, you got the Super Bowl winner.
Champs.
You got the Rams who blown it up.
Yep.
And then you got the 49ers. Don't you feel bad for the Cardinals?
You better load up. You better load up. And I will say this, and this one's for you, Pete, for all the fans out here. I think now you'll be able to appreciate Mike Evans a little bit more. Because I feel like in Tampa, a lot of his career, we didn't see a lot of it. And he's getting 1,000-yard seasons, but they don't win. And how good, then he wins a Super Bowl with Brady. It's because of Brady, all that stuff. Now you get to see Mike in a completely new scenery, and you can see, you don't always have him first ballot Hall of Fame on your vote right now, but you get to see how good this guy really is. I'm excited for the league to see, because I've seen it firsthand, how to cover him and how to be his teammate on how actual dominant he is. Now with Kyle Shanahan, I think the league gets to see how scary Mike Evans really is.
He'll be a Hall of Famer. I just don't think he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
I'm glad you don't have a vote.
Mike Evans from the west coast of Florida to the west coast in the Bay Area. And to your guys' point, we saw in the graphic there, made what the Niners did last season even more remarkable given all of the injuries that they had to sustain in this 2025 season. There it is, shortest odds to win the Super Bowl. Rams and Seahawks continue to be co-favorites at FanDuel. The Niners at 19-1, making some moves to try to inch ever so closer to that first left side of the